Hey everyone, this is Michelle with Machi Marketing Solutions, and today I wanted to talk about some things to consider if you are starting a YouTube channel. So, this is just mostly based on what I've experienced and what I've noticed, as well as comments other people made. So, the first thing is that if you have an intro, don't make it super long. It's like, I have time for that. Please keep it more than 10 seconds. You just don't do an intro in less than 10 seconds. What are you doing? Second thing to keep in mind is if your glasses are super glary like mine, if I have a whole conversation with you and all you can see is the reflection, that's going to be pretty distracting. So I would say either find another angle or take your glasses off. As long as you don't need to see anything and it's not a danger, that's a pretty simple fix. Another thing to consider is if you have access to natural light. So just going to show you. These are some obviously not natural lights. You can see how it kind of changes things. Ooh, that's big flatter. But we go for some natural light. Looks a lot better. But again, glasses. Take them off. Problem's kind of solved. Gonna close that now. So that's very bright for me. Another thing is to pay attention to your audio. So one thing I've noticed is that people will have a super loud intro, and then when you get to the actual content, and it's like, why is there this crazy difference? Like, why keep it at the same level? If your ad is super loud or your intro is super loud, have the other stuff at the same level. Or if your intro is super quiet, have that at the same level. Like, just keep it even, whether it's loud or soft, like, keep it even. Another thing to keep in mind is enunciation. So this really depends on who your audience is, just because pronunciation and enunciation is going to be different depending on who your audience is and your accents and the regions that you talk to. But I guess it's maybe more about audio quality because people need to know what you're saying. There have been a number of times when I try to watch a video and I know it has great content and the reflections are getting a little distracting for me, so I'm taking off my glasses. There have been times when I am watching content and I know there's great information, but I'm having the hardest time hearing it. Now, for me, that could be the fact that I have ADHD, and something that's very common with people with ADHD is something called audio processing disorder. So the way I like to think about it is if you watch TV with almost like live captions and how they're always delayed by like quite a bit, that's kind of how my hearing is. It's not that I don't hear it. It's just if you say, "Hi, what's up?" Now I'm hearing what you said and processing what you said. So this is also a great time to mention captions. So there are actually a lot of tools out there for free where they will help subtitle your stuff. One thing that is bothering me though, and this might be a YouTube issue, is the censorship of words. And by that, I'm not talking about people changing words like calling the pandemic the panini or people referring to like children as PDF files. I am talking about when someone says a word, it's not censored at all speaking, but then in the subtitles, it is censored. I don't like that because if it's censored for people who can't hear, it should be censored for people who can hear. I don't think it's fair or even makes sense to censor just in your subtitles. So I think that might be a case of when people are using a lot of these tools that can help with your subtitling. And that brings me to, you need to actually look at what is being subtitled because we get busy. But if we know that we're using certain words that may be censored or are very likely to be misspelled, we need to take care and actually look at those subtitles. If we're using a name that is commonly spelled one way, but the person we're talking about, they spell it a different way, we need to go in the subtitles and we need to change that. If we have cussing, swear words in our videos and we're not censoring it for the people who can hear, we need to go into the subtitles and make sure that people who are deaf or hard of hearing or people like me who have audio processing disorders and really rely on subtitles to help with those like missing dropped words, they should be in the loop too, because it's either it's censored for everyone or it's censored for no one. So if you're not squeamish about people who can hear the word, if you don't want to type out the entire curse word because you're scared of censorship, okay, but like give us a clue as to what that word is. Even if you have to do F dot dot or F dash K or something, let us know what's going on, because there have definitely been times when the audio has been censored and the subtitles are censored. I'm like, I don't have enough context clues. But regardless, especially if you have a guest on or something, you should make sure you have their name spelled right. It's just a reminder for everyone that subtitles are important. They should match what people are hearing. And actually, just a little tangent about that. This actually has to do with the translation issue. So I was adopted from another country. They speak Spanish there. And I was looking through the adoption papers. And now that I can actually read some Spanish, I was able to see that the original Spanish, did not match what was translated in English. So, for example, they were talking about how my birth father was a womanizer. That's the word they used. But the English translation was he was a Don Juan. They didn't say that at all in Spanish. They used the word womanizer. Like, there, meaning woman, was in it. So it's like, it's womanizer. They weren't saying Don Juan. They weren't using some other word that refers, like, they weren't saying like a player or something like that, you know? They said womanizer. And for whatever reason, they kept using the word Don Juan. And I remember asking my mom, you know, when I was really little, if she knew anything about my birth family. And she was like, oh, I just know your dad was a Don Juan. They kept saying he's a Don Juan, a Don Juan. I look in the papers at the Spanish, I'm like, they didn't use that term at all. And that might seem petty, but here's the thing. A little thing here, a little thing there, a little thing over there, it adds up. And all of those tiny little things that don't matter alone, it matters. And then also, don't worry about trolls, okay? Because you could be absolutely perfect, like, in every single way, as subjective as that word is, and people are still going to make comments about you. They're going to, especially if you're a woman, they're going to attack your voice. They're going to say, like, know your place, get back in the kitchen, all that garbage. They're going to attack your looks. Don't worry about it. Because the thing is, people who are commenting on stuff like that, they were never your audience. They were never there to be your audience. They're just bored people who don't have a life, who have nothing better to do than to go on social media sites and say stupid things about things they know nothing about. So don't let that get to you. You know, whether they're saying, oh, well, you didn't think of blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, but like, we can't sit here for 20 years talking about every little tiny nuance of everything, every potential exception to every rule. It's something that people are talking about, media literacy, that is a problem. And in that context, a lot of them are talking about how people aren't understanding that when people are talking about certain situations, they can't incorporate every single, you know, thing that's out there. Oh, you didn't mention that. Oh, you didn't think about this thing over there. Oh, what about this? It's like, yeah, okay, I can't address all of those, especially not when we're talking about like videos under a minute or even like in 10 minutes. Like those are, and then you get on tangents and most people don't want that. It's like, do you want the meat of the conversation or do you want me to spend 40 years on every potential weird case that's out there, you know? So that's just something to also mention. So don't worry about the people who are spamming you with weird stuff, people who are giving you hate comments, because the thing is, they clearly have nothing better to do. Because whether or not they watched your video, they took time out of their day to click on your stuff, to blast you. Do they really have nothing better to do? And think about it. YouTube wants engagement, right? So they gave you a comment. That looks good to YouTube. If they watched your video, that's a view. That looks good to YouTube. So ignore the hate comment. Now, if it's something really bad, like that's what the reporting tool is for. Sometimes you do need to block these people, but for the most part, I wouldn't worry about it because you're going to get it no matter what you do. And your job isn't to please everyone. It's not. Those are called people pleasers, and those people get drained and used and abused. And we don't want to be in those situations. And also, if we're running a business, we need to know that we are not for everyone. There are certain people who are going to gravitate towards us, and there are certain people who are not. And that's okay, because we only want to work with the people who are going to value us. Because otherwise you get people who are heading, who don't really value what you do, who are going to try to get you to lower and lower your prices, who aren't going to pay their invoices, all of that. And why waste your energy on those people? You should be, quote unquote, wasting, which isn't really wasting in my opinion, your time on people who value you, who resonate with you, and who have a similar vision to you, or who support your vision and your mission. Now, if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, if you're in the public eye, there are always going to be weird people who don't have a life, who feel the need to comment stupid things. That says more about them than you. And I know that seems cliche, but it's really true. Anyway, see ya.